In this video, I want to talk to you about what I call the multiplication factor of 0, and I was getting this all wrong. Hey, before we jump into today's story, let me remind you what we help teachers do. We help teachers increase student engagement, decrease discipline issues, and help students feel valued, seen, and heard. We've helped over 30,000 teachers transform their classrooms. With that being said, let me tell you a story about walking some classrooms this last school year. So here I am consulting, modeling, going into classrooms, modeling these tools that we help the teachers transform those classrooms. And when I get into this classroom, the hard part for me was sitting back and watching the students just come into the classroom. It was disorganized, it was very chaotic, and my heart, I could feel my heart was racing. I could feel the blood pressure rising, and I started to just realize, oh my God, can we just get into this classroom and get started? And I don't know how many of you feel that way. Sometimes your classroom is so difficult to start, right? And then I watched these two young ladies hold learning hostage for like 10 minutes. Not joking. Like, I watched the teacher say, we'll wait. And I was like, how long are we going to wait? She continued to say, we'll wait. And then at this point, we couldn't even wait any longer. And we couldn't even get to the tools that would help transform the classroom because the classroom was so chaotic. And then it hit me. Chaos. Chaos is a multiplication factor of 0. Chaos times connections still equals chaos. It was crazy to start to think about how could we even get to these tools to transform the classroom, to increase student engagement and decrease discipline issues when we couldn't even get to the issues that were at hand. Everything was so struggling so much. So I started thinking back to this, right? Like, connections are a cornerstone, but they're not the cure. And let's just be real. I always talk about the connections are like the concrete, but what's underneath the concrete? It made me start rethinking everything about my philosophy, like rebar and gravel, things that are underneath the concrete to support it. Like, that's classroom management 101. And that's what was missing in this classroom. And the more I walked classrooms, the more I started noticing it. Lack of clear procedures. How do the kids come into the classroom? How do they show you that they're ready to learn? I think teachers were just leaving this gap closed and then not really thinking about it. And then when they approached these connection tools and other opportunities to transform the classroom, they couldn't even do it because they were still stuck in chaos. So what do we do? Well, the first thing I had to do is I had to pause and I had to step back for a moment and start thinking about clear expectations of our classroom. Like, Classroom Management 101 is where I would ask that we all start with. And one of the best resources I found is Harry Wong's Classroom Management book. And if we could just take a moment, Harry Wong left a legendary approach into education, particularly into classroom management. And I think we've all leaned into his work at one point or another. And so as you think about setting your classroom dynamics up, as you get back into the school year, I want you to start thinking about clear expectations. How do your kids come into the classroom? What are the clear expectations once they get into the classroom? How do they show you, then demonstrate to you that they are ready to learn? In closing, if this chaos factor intrigued you like it did me, guess what? I take a deeper dive into this whole concept in my new book called The Connection-Driven Classroom. Why don't you join me at ddiscipline.com/book to find out more?